Hi everybody, so the book I'm going to be talking about today is Find Your Why, and it's the second book after Start With Your Why. So I'm attempting to merge the core ideas of both books in this video. Whilst the book and the concepts within it could be quite relevant to business and the work environment, I do believe that there's huge potential for the ideas in this book and both books to guide everything that you do. After all, do you really want to be moving along in life kind of aimlessly with no idea why you do what you do without pinpointing what drives you and keeps you going? Hopefully the answer to that is no. For anybody, no matter their background, I think it's absolutely vital that they go through the process of attempting to understand their why. Remember that the relationship you have with yourself is the longest relationship you'll ever have. Why not master it? Why not be the person who knows you the best? The author is Simon Sinek, and other than being an author, he's an inspirational speaker and he's made great success. I highly recommend that you watch one of his videos on YouTube, one of which has had 60 million views. He's written 5 books, and I have no doubt all of them contain his sense of passion that travels from him through the book and to the reader. To understand the importance of finding your why, it's necessary to comprehend the difference between happiness and fulfillment. The author explains this by saying happiness comes from the things we do for ourselves, such as buying a new pair of shoes or the latest smartphone, and can offer a quick hit of dopamine that makes us feel good. But when that feeling wears off, we need to do or buy something else to get the next hit. This is a very true statement. Happiness is great, and I think it's important to buy the pair of shoes if we want to, but happiness will not stick around forever. And if you become reliant on happiness, your closet may run out of space for shoes. The author goes further and says the happiness in serving ourselves is real but often fleeting. The fulfillment in serving others is lasting. How you feel when you help people will make you feel more fulfilled than the short-lived happiness from when you do something for yourself. This does not mean that you have to start a charity though. Ultimately, the why that you come up with will contribute to the world in some way, in your own way, because contribution leads to fulfillment. And I just want to emphasize this doesn't mean that you should never do anything for yourself. I think that is ultimately a big part of happiness, and you should do things for yourself. Just that when you find a purpose in something that you do, this will last longer and it will drive you more. And it doesn't mean that the purpose has to come from something completely altruistic like firefighting, being a doctor, being a teacher. It could be something that you already work with now. It just helps somebody in some way, whatever way. It can be rather creative. Let's go further and truly understand the mechanisms behind the concept of finding your why and also why it's successful. The author does this by explaining that every organization and every person's career operates on 3 levels. What we do, so that's the products and services that we deliver, or if we're looking at it from a perspective of just our personal life, it's our actions. Then number 2 is how we do it. So what makes us stand out? For example, we may put a creative spin on certain things. You may be known for being quite mature in the way that you are with people. You may be quite kind. You may be a really good listener. It's just that little bit of you that you bring to every situation. And lastly, the third one is why we do it. So these 3 things work together to form the golden circle. The outer section of the golden circle, the what, corresponds to the outer section of the brain, the neocortex. This is the part of the brain responsible for rational and analytical thought. It helps us understand facts and figures, features and benefits. It's logical. The middle 2 sections of the golden circle, the why and how, correspond to the middle section of the brain, the limbic system. This is the part of the brain responsible for all our behavior and decision making. It's also responsible for all our feelings, like trust and loyalty. A lot of the time, this part of the brain is more influential because we're more likely to do something because it feels like the right thing than always listening to the logical part of our brain. Your why corresponds with the limbic system. It's deeply connected to you, and it can sometimes be hard to put into words because this part of our brain does not comprehend language. However, this part of your brain is extremely powerful, and if you can order your actions in such a way that you work from your why to your how to your what, you may very well find success and alignment in what you do instead of always doing the what with little direction. When finding your why, it's important to know that your why comes from your stories, the moments in your life when you felt most fulfilled, the moments when you were your very best self. The more you act intentionally on your why, the more of these satisfying stories will be collected. And those stories will deepen your relationship to your why and inspire you. With this, it's necessary to take some time and think of some moments, good or bad, that were very influential to you. The author suggests it's very helpful to do this with a partner. The aim here is to find some themes that are evident in many of your influential stories because this will tell you more about your why or what motivates you. After identifying your influential stories and looking for the underlying themes, you can work toward making your why. Your why is a statement in this format: to, so that. You can see that the to in this statement refers to the contribution you will bring, and the so that refers to the impact that the contribution will have on the people around you. For example, the author's why statement is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together we can change our world. Remember that this statement is deeper than what you do. It relates more to your traits and values. However, it's important that we do not forget the importance of turning your traits into actions. As great as it is to be aware of your traits and values, in fact, I recommend that you write them down and reflect on them often. At the end of the day, passion alone can't cut it. For passion to survive, it needs structure. A why without how has little probability of success. Knowing your why is important, but you also need to spend time understanding how you can embody your why in what you do. You may be doing this already, and in this case, it's excellent to understand that alignment and why it's there. Finding a why and sticking to it is a way of understanding yourself and being committed to always improving and staying in alignment. Think of it this way: what if the only person you're competing with is yourself? What if we showed up every day to be a better version of ourselves, living more in line with our why than we did the day before? When you approach life this way, without comparing yourself to others, I think you may be quite surprised by how much you are able to flourish. The author says that when you compete against everyone else, no one wants to help you. But when you compete against yourself, everyone wants to help you. When you know your why, you embody your why, and you practice it, you will invite other like-minded people. Being surrounded by like-minded people who support you in your passion will create an excellent environment. If you come across people who do not support you or your why, I highly recommend that you do what you can to distance yourself from them. When I say this, I'm talking about people that you spend a lot of time with because you want them to be aligned with what you believe. And I think it's necessary to possibly expand on that, because I'm not saying that you just need to delete people from your lives as soon as they're not aligned with a purpose that is very deep to you. But I think that if you do have people in your life who possibly don't support you, or when you do talk about things that are passionate for you or are your passions, and they kind of brush it off or make it seem little or unimportant, I really think it's key to think about those people in your lives and consider if they really are adding anything positive. Maybe some of you are thinking to yourself that you do not have the means to be living your why. You're not in the right job and you don't have the right qualifications. Whilst I do agree that if you feel that if your job is completely out of alignment When you find your why, then seek change. It's quite necessary if you feel like the job that you're doing now is completely wrong for you. However, the author says that none of us needs any specific job, position, title, technology, or piece of equipment in order to affect the change we want to see in the world. If you find your values that embody your why, you can adapt and be creative in how you bring that to life. The author gives us ways we can actually live our whys by saying, for values or guiding principles to be truly effective, there have to be verbs. So it's not integrity, it's always do the right thing. It's not innovation, it's look at the problem from a different angle. Articulating our values as verbs gives us a clear idea of how to act in any situation. Can you also see that when he turned those verbs into actions, he did not say that it had to be in a certain job, that you are able to be innovative, to look at things from a different angle. It's already within you and you can bring it to any job or situation. I do believe that when you find your why and you practice working in alignment, you will develop charisma, or the charisma that you already had will become more pronounced and difficult to ignore. To be clear, charisma is the way a person carries themselves that compels people or inspires them. It is that special aura that almost lights up a room when a person enters. The author says that charisma has nothing to do with energy. It comes from a clarity of why. It comes from, there's this fly, it comes from absolute conviction in an ideal bigger than oneself. Energy, in contrast, comes from a good night's sleep or lots of caffeine. Energy can excite, but only charisma can inspire. Charisma commands loyalty. Energy does not. I do agree that energy is still important because high energy always adds value, but charisma adds inspiration, and that's not something that can be sold in an energy bottle. Charisma is what will get you the job that you really want because you know why you're applying for the job, and people who are hiring for that job can pick up on that. I remind you of the limbic part of the brain that this speaks to. It's a strong feeling, and people really listen to those strong feelings and are sometimes put in a position where it's difficult to actually make that logical. If you know what ultimately guides your purpose, you'll make it through anything because you know what makes you tick. I know that it sounds like a lot of work to think of important memories in your life and work out why they're important, but what you get out of that discovery is actually priceless. The author highlights this by saying we can go through life hunting and pecking, looking for opportunities or customers, hoping that something connects. Or we can go through life with intention, knowing what our piece looks like, knowing our why, and going straight to the places we fit. It's not a good feeling to be lost in a state of confusion about what you're doing and what you should be doing. Working through this process will help you so that you never have to feel lost. Even if you do not love the job that you're currently in, or you don't really love what you are spending your time doing at this moment, taking a step to find your why will mean taking a step closer to your purpose and a job or activity that you will not get tired of. That is what the author has found and wants for everybody else. This book was definitely an inspirational read. As I said, it's quite attuned to businesses in the work sphere, but I did try and adapt it as much as I could so that it could appeal to a wider audience. The author has so many resources out there on finding your why and the step-by-step processes that you can take. Please do some research if this is something you want to look into. I do recommend the book. It is really excellent, and the author himself is really inspiring as a person. So thank you so much for listening.